Alright, I think we can all agree that public school can go suck a fat one. Now here's the thing, I actually cherish my time in high school. I look back on that very fondly, but it has nothing to do with what the teachers did or whatever happened in the classes. It was all really just the friendships I made and the memories and stuff. The fact of the matter is that the school system, on top of being an overall uncomfortable place to be, is completely flawed to shit.
No pomegranates! No pomegranates!
So in all honesty, a fair amount of my teachers were actually pretty cool, and some of them actually taught me a thing or two, but others just seem to love turning our lives into a living hell, man. So back in middle school, I took American Sign Language. Now, I'm not gonna say the name of this teacher that is in this memory, but basically, she had this exercise where we would arrange our desks in a circle, and then we'd sign to people from across the circle. And you weren't allowed to say anything. You had to be completely silent. Now, the problem with this is this was our first fucking year of the class. So we were in like 7th grade. We didn't know how to sign for shit. And because she wouldn't let us talk while we were doing the exercise, if someone signed something to you and you had no fucking clue what they were saying, which happened a lot, by the way, you would have to just sit there like a total fucking dumbass looking around the room at all your friends in like a wild panic. So I remember one day we were doing this exercise, and of course I get paired up with the fucking teacher's pet. So this girl is just signing with her hands flying. I have no idea what she's trying to say. And then after like 2 minutes, it's my turn to respond. So I'm literally in fucking nightmare mode, man. This is literally the worst thing that could ever happen to some prepubescent 13-year-old. So I look around for a minute and I'm just like, what? Dude, and the teacher flipped the fuck out on me. I remember her face got so fucking red, but she still refused to talk, so she just turned to the whiteboard and started like furiously writing shit at me while everyone was staring. Like, fuck that, man. We couldn't have been more than a few months into this class, and apparently the fact that I couldn't understand all of Macbeth recited in sign language was completely unacceptable. Now, I had a pretty bad experience with this other teacher. She was my history teacher. Now, I'll be honest, I wasn't doing too hot in history at the time. This class had some of the worst grades I'd ever gotten in school. So I remember one day I was just sitting there working on shit, and she comes up to me and she's like, hey, are you planning on signing up for the second part of this class next year? And I was like, nah, I don't think history is really my thing. To which this motherfucker turns her back to me all snobbish and shit, and she's like, alright, good. Like, listen, if there are any aspiring teachers out there, if you take nothing from this video, just don't use fucking negative punishment against your kids. Like, that's not gonna make them want to do anything. And the thing is, I later found out that I actually really like learning about history, and I went on to take advanced history classes, and I fucking crushed them too. So seriously, don't be an asshole. Especially to fucking 15-year-old kids. Like, that's just punching down, man. Okay, so I will be fair here. There are definitely a couple of classes in school that are actually practical. Like, English is important because, well, you're gonna be writing throughout your life and you don't want to spell shit wrong on your job application and look like a fucking idiot, so that makes sense. History is important so you can learn from the world's past mistakes and make sure we don't repeat them. But what the fuck is this shit? Like, look, of course this shit is important, but it's not important to everyone. Not everybody needs to know what the difference between a continuous and differentiable function is. And besides, if you couldn't give less of a shit about what you're learning, and you know your desired career won't require it, then you're probably just gonna memorize the shit for a few days, just long enough to pass the test, and then you'll forget all of it in the next few months. And trust me, a few years after high school, that shit is gone. You are not gonna remember any of that shit. Okay, so let's just say you really wanna be a book editor, right? Say you're dead set on that being your career. So imagine you absolutely fucking decimate those English classes, just ace everything, perfect 100 average at the end of the year, advanced placement, everything. But then at the same time, say you're just not good with numbers and you just can't get past those calculus classes. That shit will fucking ruin your average. This kid might have literally been a prodigy, but because he had to take some calculus classes that were completely unrelated to his future career, he looks like a total dumbass on his transcript. I know it might sound like I'm kind of shitting on math, but this applies to everything, so maybe you're a total math whiz, but like you just can't stand history and just, you know what I mean? Same thing. So one thing you'll immediately realize when you get out of high school is that you have absolutely no clue how to do any of the actually important shit. They didn't teach you anything about how to build credit, how to mortgage a house. They didn't even tell you that saving your money in an IRA can literally make you millions of dollars. Oh yeah, they also left out this shit. They don't don't teach you about how to vote. They don't teach you about how to, like, steer clear of media bias and, like, actually find objective information. And most importantly, in my opinion, they drill into your fucking head that college is the only responsible next step in your life. Get this, even if you don't know what you want to do with your life yet. That's right, even if you don't know what career you want to go down, you should still pay these sons of fucks $30,000 per semester. And by the way, don't worry, you can spend the rest of your life paying off that debt with the job that you didn't even get in your fucking field. But seriously, learning about all these actually important things is indisputably way more important than the shit they actually teach us, especially because we'll all have to pay our taxes and save up for retirement, not just the select few of us who decide to go to be chemists. Now here's the thing, many high schools do offer some elective, albeit very basic, very surface level version of these topics, usually all packed into like one half-year class titled financial literacy or whatever. And that's a good first step, but it's in the wrong spot. Instead of this being the optional elective class, it should be the required class. There should definitely be like a required personal finance class in every school.
No, dude.
Holy shit. What the
What's your problem, man? You're a fucking problem!
I remember for this one class, we would literally have 2 tests a month. Like, dude, are you kidding me? I only see you 2 or 3 times a week. So that means 20% of the time I come into this fucking room, I'm gonna be evaluated on what I learned. And on top of all those tests, don't forget about the sporadic pop quizzes at the beginning of class, the midterm, and of course, the fucking final exam. That's just stressful, man, especially if you've got a schedule like that for a class you're really not good at. And for me, this class was algebra and trigonometry. That shit was fucking hell. You know what? We don't really need a conclusion here, I guess. Just fuck school. We need to start fresh.